It is January 8th, 2025. There are 8 days remaining of the Biden presidency until that moment at noon when Donald Trump will raise his hand, swear the 35-word oath that he desecrated when he took it in 2017, and become again the president of the United States. This is the warning. Yesterday was a preview to the insanity that will reign in the Oval Office and to the stupidity of the questions that will face him from the corrupted American media. It was quite the show. Donald Trump talked about water quality.
It's called rain, comes down from heaven. And they want to do, no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long, you know.
He threatened to annex Canada.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like.
Invade Panama.
It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China.
And of course, he threatened Denmark and Greenland, saying that the United States needed to buy it. Greenland, that is. We have to have it.
You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
And the man who promised his supporters no more stupid wars in the transition period has threatened to start at least 6. Now, here's the thing, and I tried to say this for almost 10 years. History is very clear about what happens when men like Trump take power. The first thing to appreciate with regard to the threats is there is no person who has ever made the threats that Trump has made who, upon taking power, did not follow through on them, did not deliver on them. Some of them are just plain stupid, and some people will be out of his reach. Liz Cheney is one of them. She is constitutionally protected in a much clearer fashion than was Donald Trump when he asserted the presidency gave him immunity. A member of Congress absolutely has immunity. Liz Cheney is untouchable. Donald Trump keeps threatening Denmark, a NATO ally. He says we need Greenland. He's fixated on it. Now, Greenland is one of the largest islands in the world. It is a frozen tundra. In fact, it's so remote that nobody biologically has even taken a census of the polar bears that live there. Indeed, there may be so many that the species is not so endangered. Nobody knows. The island is that remote and that unexplored, but it's melting. And so is the sea ice that blocks the waterways that can be transited during the back half of the 21st century by all manner of ships, including Russian, including Chinese. And that is what the issue is about. Plus the fact Greenland may be, from a rare earth mineral perspective, the wealthiest place on Earth. What Donald Trump is saying, and he's right about one thing, is that it is absolutely unacceptable for the indigenous population or for Denmark to do any business on Greenland with any Chinese concession that seeks to mine, that seeks to use those minerals for the advanced weapons that they could use to precipitate World War III. It's important to remember always the Chinese, as I speak, are engaged in the fastest military buildup in world history. I'm going to say it again. The Chinese, as I speak, are engaged in the largest, fastest military buildup in world history, and they intend to use it in the Pacific. And the only way that war will be avoided over the next 20 years is if the United States maintains its strength. But because 49.9% of the country have elected an imbecile, the Chinese appreciate that we are weakening and that we're soft and that we're divided. The Chinese will wait. They're patient. Back to Greenland, looking ahead these next decades, it's clear the island will play an increasingly vital strategic role around the Northern Hemisphere. The American position on these matters has been clear all the way back to the Monroe Doctrine for over 200 years about our intolerance for foreign predations and foreign entanglements in the Western Hemisphere. And Greenland is closer to New York City than it is to Europe. There's another aspect of this. You won't hear this on the news, but the last time the United States made a territorial purchase, it was from Denmark. The islands we bought were called the Danish West Indies. Today, we know them as the U.S. Virgin Islands. Hell, Trump's probably been to one. It's where Jeffrey Epstein had his place. At any rate, what Donald Trump is threatening to take through bullying is not his. It does not belong to the United States. It is a territorial possession of a NATO ally, and the borders are set. The man who ran on the economy seems to be fixated on starting wars. He seems to be fixated on his ego. His arrogancy seems to be saying, you need to expand the United States. Perhaps Trump sees himself as a conqueror. Perhaps Trump is so incoherent, he doesn't know what he's talking about at all. Usually, there's a grain of truth, and there is here. It would benefit the United States for American companies to be involved in extractive industries in Greenland, mining the rare earth minerals that the American economy needs, that the American defense sector needs. The indigenous people of Greenland could be some of the wealthiest on earth. Maybe what Donald Trump is trying to say in the crudest way is that there's an offer on the table, and also lay out a warning that there's business to be done, but not with the Chinese. If so, he's doing it in the worst way possible and the dumbest way imaginable. Donald Trump's insanity makes it clear at the news conference, though the press can't comprehend it, and we're all in a lot of trouble. His incoherence is growling into something very menacing and sinister. Canada is a nation and an ally. And among the greatest blessings that Americans have is that we share the longest undefended peaceful border in global history. We have millions of people on both sides of that border, married, families intertwined. Our people have made blood sacrifices on freedom's altar together. Our commerce is worth trillions of dollars, and Trump seeks to upend it. For what? Why? 8 days from now, Donald Trump is going to deliver an inaugural address that shocks the conscience of the world. He will not call for a better tomorrow. He will make a series of announcements that will be bone-chilling, and they must be resisted, and they must be talked about, and there must be an articulation of better. Donald Trump can barely speak English, but here's the truth. Neither can most of the Democratic politicians who speak in some hybrid language of data points and poll-tested banalities. I mean nothing, while Trump's venomous idiomatic English is perfectly understood. What is the meaning of Trump's rhetoric about Canada, Panama, Greenland? There's a war in Europe that's killed 1 million people. The Russians invaded a sovereign nation. Elon Musk is cheering a far-right German party that's a neo-Nazi party in its origins, and whose leader says the SS is not a criminal organization, and that the Germans have too much shame for the Holocaust. We live in frightening days because we've outrun memory of the event that shaped the world for 80 years. We're moving beyond it now into something new, an undiscovered country, a dangerous new frontier. And at the head of the column is the greatest American imbecile, a man of the lowest character, a stupendously ignorant liar who with each step draws us closer to an abyss, closer to the danger, away from the ideal of peace and prosperity, friendliness between nations. When we look back from wherever this ends, I promise you, it will be with tears. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.